Oh my goodness, we're live.
I was just gonna like, is it happening? Is it happening? And then it said, you're live. It is happening.
I just love that moment before where you just like,
That awkward moment.
So there you go. We are live. What if you just liked you? I don't know. It's like, and it should be the easiest thing in the world to like who you are. And then so many of us struggle with it, including myself over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Amanda.
Hello, Brendon. Hello, everybody.
Hello, darling. Well, and let's see if I can even muster together some words for this one. It's been such an interesting day today. And there's a couple of different ways that we could go with a conversation like this also, because it's something that you could look at it as a surface level kind of thing with liking yourself, and like which I think we can all relate to also. Like, what are the things that I need to get right in my life in order for me to like the choices that I'm making or like who I am? But then there's a whole other conversation on actually truly liking you and the being that you are. And for me, it's still such a journey, because even today, like in having such an interesting day, I realized some different things, and I was just like, just kind of wow. And one of them was like, I was having a conversation with Gary Douglas, and there's been some interesting changes in access lately, like people leaving and different things, and one of the things I realized for myself was I saw where I had done a similar thing, and in this conversation with him, I was like, you know what, I've seen where I have looked. I've seen basically where I've gone to make choices and been like, oh, well, is this the right choice with Access, or is this the right choice with Gary, or is this the right choice with Dane? And in that, see, a big part of liking myself is being honest with myself. Know that I'm not actually bullshitting myself. And one of the things I realized this morning is where I do that, and I was like, wow, that is creating this place where it's about having reason and justification for the choices you make, rather than recognize that each and every one of us has the power to choose and create our own lives. And meaning that none of us has to be a victim to anything. And I think a lot of people, myself included, where I've done that, is we try and find something to follow, thinking that if we have something to follow, we have something to blame. Right. we have something to follow, we have something to give our awareness up for, rather than this. For me, the liking you part is looking at the things that can be really uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah. And it's so interesting what you touched on as well, like with the whole reason and justification thing, and how, like, what I've noticed is that I like myself. I can tell myself that I like myself based on, because of, or in relation to somebody else, or in relation to the job that I'm doing, or the successful relationship that I'm creating, or whatever it is, like, yeah, now I have a reason and a justification to liking myself. But that's not liking yourself. What if it's really, what is actually possible with liking yourself is just, okay, here I am, with all of it. Like, if you don't have to have a reason and justification, if it doesn't have to be because of anything. Because it's like, if you look at, someone that you're really close to, do you like them because they are, successful at their job, or do you like them because they have money, or do you like them because they whatever? Probably not. You probably just like them because they're being a gift in your world. What if it's the same with yourself?
Yeah. And also how much we've misidentified that, being right, like getting our lives right. I remember always having this thing of like, it was always, looking at, well, if I only had the money thing, organized, then I would like myself. If I had the relationship thing, worked out, then I would like myself. It was always about something having to be right in order for me to like who I was, rather than just like me for me. And I don't know about you, but I always it's been something that I think I've told the story about my first bar session, and before that being before I found Access, and just being in a place where I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I was basically just begging to the universe, God, anyone out there willing to listen, hey, I need some help. And the point for me that I'd gotten to was I didn't like my life at all. But the part that I couldn't seem to, the part that I really wanted help with changing, the part that I couldn't seem to change was I didn't like myself anymore. And that was, and I see where probably a lot of us can relate to this also. When you grow up around a lot of people who have projections and expectations about who you should be, and then you being you, having an awareness of, well, I need to be this for them, and I need to create myself as this to fulfill this for this, but all of these different things that we do, how much of what we don't like about ourselves is what we've created ourselves as that isn't us to begin with. And I man, there were so many things and I think for me, that has been probably the most valuable thing, probably the biggest target, but also the most valuable thing to me is liking who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's also we're not for most of us anyway, and I can only speak for myself, but I think for most of us, we're not really encouraged to like ourselves. It's almost no, you shouldn't tell. I had a friend a while ago that just, I acknowledged her for something. I was like, "You're amazing," and she's like, "Yeah, I know I am." And it was a little part of me that was like, "You shouldn't."
You're like, what? You can do that?
You're saying that about yourself? But I know also that little part wasn't actually me, because, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. But, we're not taught to actually say, yeah, I know, I am amazing. It's not okay, quote unquote, to actually like yourself and be open about it. No, you're supposed to, judge yourself and be mean to yourself. And it's such an interesting fucking fucked up thing. Sorry.
Why? It's like you put the energy to it perfectly. But it's also, somebody will call you amazing, but they'll, but we've also been, everyone has their own agendas. So, it's also, I'm amazing may come with all of these different things of, this is what I expect of you, and this is what, all these points of views and projections and all of that different stuff, that if you don't have a solid knowing of yourself, creates this place where you go into this twist, trying to figure out what they mean by that and how you are that and how you can be more of that for them, rather than that place of, I know I'm amazing because I'm me. And I remember a friend of mine's son once just talk about a kid who, his mum has done a lot of access, and, and he's grown up around, classes and the tools and, and people, being different and making different choices. And he's just him. He's just so him. And I remember once somebody was like, oh my God, you're so awesome. And he did the same thing. He was just like, I know. He was shocked. Yeah. And I was like, oh man. And this is where I've done this thing also of I would look at that and go, oh, I wish I would have grown up with parents like that, because if I would have had the childhood that he's had, then I'd be able to have the choices that he has. Victim. and you can, there's a few things that don't, there's a few things that in order for you to truly like you, you're going to have to go beyond. Victim being one of them, judgment of you or anyone else, because anywhere that you're in judgment, all you can do is prove, you know, and I've seen this from this victim thing, which has been, you know, man, did I grow up around that energy, but also that brings up a weird thing too, because it's like, notice when you say something like that, man, I've grown up around a lot of that energy, and then it's like, oh, words.
Yeah.
My thing. But then it's like it must be a wrong thing. It's like, but blah. Anyway, all of that. But this thing, one of the things I've really had to look at for myself is where I've done that thing of victim. You know, if only I grew up in a different circumstance, or if only I grew up in, you know, in a supporting, you know, environment. If only, that never gives you more choice.
Mm-mm.
You know, and one of the things for me, a few years ago when I began my long early slog of sobriety, I don't know what else to call it. A few years ago when I just gave up drinking but realized I hated myself, you know, but it was like in the beginning, it was definitely my target was, I'm not going to get through this unless I learn how to like myself. But I really had to see how much I was doing that thing of if only.
Yeah. But that what you just said though is so different. Like knowing that and having that awareness, like if I'm going to get through this and actually create something greater, I need to start to like myself. Like most people in this world, they think that in order to change something, they have to judge themselves out of it, which is the opposite. It's like, and it never fucking works. We think that if we just find the right way of criticizing ourselves or judging ourselves or changing something from what is bad to something that is good, then we will get to whatever it is that we want to get to. But what if you need to actually start with, you know, that awareness of like, yep, there's a few things in my life that is not really working so well for me. Okay, what do I need to choose differently to actually change that? Wow, I need to start with actually getting out of judgment of me.
Yeah,
That's very different to have that awareness. And wow, what a gift.
Well, one of the things Gary Douglas said at the 6-day event, which I was like, oh, he was like, you know, most people have misidentified being right as liking themselves.
Ugh, goodness.
You know, like, oh boy, you know, but that also, you know, like it's the, you know, like you said, looking at the areas of your life you'd like to change and trying to judge your way out of them, rather than what if nothing took you away from liking you? You know,
Exactly.
but also having it as such a demand in your world. Because here's the other thing that I had to get to was I was literally making the choices that would end me up in the place of not liking myself. So I was literally choosing towards the antithesis of what I was saying I was asking for. And for me, so one of the things I guess in it for me was I had to get to know myself first. Right. I had to get to know that, wait a minute, I'm totally bullshitting myself here, that my target is to like me when I'm actively choosing the things that show me where I don't like me. And I think that first of all, like, what if that could be, blah, just that.
Just that, yeah. And one of the parts of that I think is so amazing and so different as well, that we play a lot with the tools of access and in these access classes. And Brendon has a 4-part series coming up on this topic, and I'm so excited to dive into it. But one of the things that I'm very excited about with that particular series is that you're doing also the energetics of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a, for me personally, and what I've seen with so many people throughout the years, is such a massive part of actually getting to that awareness of, first of all, getting to know yourself, getting to like yourself, and also having that vulnerability with yourself of like, hang on a moment. I'm not actually choosing what I say that I'm willing, I'm not, whatever that is going on, like that the energetics of it, and not trying to only figure it out from your head, because then you're just going to run around in this loop trying to understand. Then you go back to the reasons and justifications, and that's the whole victim thing, and because of this and why and yada yada yada, instead of getting to like the energy of it and really being like, and that's such a practice, like, both you and I have practiced this for many years now, but it's still such a daily, like I have to remind myself daily to check in, like, hang on a moment, where's the, like, how is the energy around this? Is it actually light and expansive, or is it contracted? And that, if you allow that to be your guide, quote unquote, then all of these processes and all of like creating change can be so much easier. And so
I love that.
Sustainable as well.
Yeah. Well, that part also, that's the part with truly liking you, is it's sustainable. And for me, I always had this, a lot of my life was, I would get to different points where I would have a sense of me, a sense of liking me, but that energy was not familiar.
Right.
That energy was, so it was like, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable based on the idea that I wasn't willing to actually receive myself as that. But one of the things you said a couple of times is this thing about being different. And I mean, even if you're on here listening to this, I find it something that, we talk about it and, being different and blah, blah. Again, it can be such a surface thing, but actually acknowledging that there is no one like you, and it's often the things that you will just discount about yourself that are the things that are so fucking beautiful about you. The things that you just pay no attention to, the spaces that you are, the energies that you are, the way that you function in certain areas of your life that is so, just makes you in such a unique way that a lot of us just dismiss. And this is it's such a big key to this, is the willingness to acknowledge the difference that you are.
Yeah.
Hello, Houston. Hello. I've had such an interesting day today. Like I said, I had having just different awarenesses kind of around this topic, but also just, when you just kind of just like raw, when you just like, I have no idea what's going on right now, but I just want to be a big puddle of, tears and, tears, but not from this place of sadness, more from this place of just not having walls to yourself. And one of the things that kind of cracked it in my world was seeing this place where I really put so much attention on what I had decided other people would have as points of view about what choices I was making. But notice in that also, I said decided, because that's what we do, is if I choose this person will be upset with me. So we project and expect that they'll be upset with me. Then you won't choose it based on that, or you will choose it based on that, whatever. But then it's all about the other person and their reaction to your choice that's creating what you do or don't have available as choices. And I was like, fuck, how much have I been doing this with everything? But also, what I want to say to this is, so how do I put this? Okay, so we have something called access consciousness. Okay, what is it? Well, access consciousness, set of tools and processes, body process, all different sorts of things that are designed to empower you to know that you know. Okay. And period. There we go. That's access. It's access to you having more consciousness, access to you having more of you. There's that. But then there's what we make it into.
Yep.
And it's interesting because, like, again, I'll put myself into this scene where I've done this, is again, we'll come along and we'll have something like that is truly there to empower you to more of you. And then we will use it as the source for something. And then when it doesn't fulfill that source, it becomes the thing that doesn't allow you to create what you say you desire to create. This is where for me, liking yourself is truly fucking owning your shit.
Yeah.
You know, and going, wait a minute, I'm the one making this into this. I'm the one creating myself in a way that's whatever that is. But I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's also like, when you're willing to have that with yourself and not having to look outside of you or blame or whatever it is, that's also that's like the greatest source and form of empowerment as well. Because then it's like, wow, if I'm creating all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then holy shit, what else can I create?
Yeah.
You know?
But wouldn't it be interesting if you could just have that with yourself, though? Oh my God, I'm creating all of this. It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you didn't have a point of view about what was good, what was bad, and what was ugly. So it was I'm just creating this.
Yeah.
I
was just reading those comments as well. It's great.
I was just reading the comment also.
Yeah.
Man, and Mike put in there this thing about conversation I was just having with my 11-year-old as he tries to fit in. Man, did I do that? And it's like we live in a world like that. So there's that part. Like I remember at 11, and it must be like, I can't even imagine being a 11-year-old kid now with, with social media and all of those different things. Like I remember it being so challenging when I was a kid because I was like, who am I supposed to be? Right. I seem to lose access to that. Just no point of view, once school came around and all of, that stuff began. But I was like, who am I meant to be? How am I supposed to create myself? How do I fit in? And all of that stuff. And so, Mike, I love that you have the tools and have that with him. It's
what a gift.
Really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot to explore.
There's so much to explore.
All of these calls coming up.
So that's why I'm doing 4 calls.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be a lot.
Yeah. And again, I'm so excited about the format of this series as well, that it's going to be 2 calls that is more like, this talking verbal facilitation, and then 2 more energetic explorations, which is like, wow, such a cool to have those different aspects of it as well. And I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I want to, I just want to address this last part, that with the, reading that group chat and, and having all the basically judgment, all that stuff come up. One of the tools, like because there's so many things with this also, because notice the areas of your life that you have the most difficulty with liking yourself are the areas you're trying to most get right. But then also, like, because if you look at parenting as an example, it's like, how many of you have you just want to be the best parent you can be for your kids, but then along with that goes all of the judgment that is like, what do I have to be the best parent? I don't want to mess my kids up like I was messed up, or whatever that is. So you're in this constant state of judgment trying to get there. And but so there's that part. But in this, with working with your kids, is also recognizing that they're beings also, and it's, I mean, I remember when my son, was younger, and there were different things that I knew I had to empower him with choice. And I knew I had to allow him to get to his own awareness with different situations. But it was hard. Like, actually watching him making choices that I didn't want to see him making was not an easy thing to do. And so, but I want to acknowledge this, but also with the, I don't quite know how to get to this, but one of the tools we have in Access is what's true for you will always make you lighter. And having that as a kid, how is this for you? Does it make you lighter or does it make you heavier? So what? And then, heavy, like it makes me feel like shit. Okay, what if this isn't true for you? Who would you like to be in this situation? I remember once with Nash, he must have been, I think he was like 13, and he got home from school one day, and his cousin was with him, and she told me about Nash had basically just been such a mean little shit to this young girl that was in his classroom, and just basically, she was heartbroken. Like, she was so upset, and so I was like, I found out about it, and I was like, I so wanted to, rage out at him and be, that staunch, that stoic parent, because that's what I would have got. But I was like, wait a minute, how would I like to handle this? And I remember having a conversation with him, and I asked him about it, and he was just like, yeah, this is what I did. And I was like, is that who you want to be in this world? Mm-hmm. That was the only question I asked him. And he just looked at, he kind of sat with it for a moment. And he just went, no, I don't. Mm-hmm. And I went, okay, so what's a different choice now? And how about this? And I was just like, how about you just go and, admit that this was not kind, this was not cool, and apologize for it. Mm. Because that also, another part of this liking yourself for me is recognizing you can't undo the past. Yeah. You can't undo it, but you can choose to be different in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so much easier to have that and be willing to be vulnerable like that with other people, and actually apologize when appropriate, etc. When you are liking you, like if you don't judge yourself, and if you're kind to yourself, then it's way easier to also be kind to other people, no matter what they're choosing. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also I had to learn, I had to learn some lessons about kindness with myself as well. Like, I remember early, I keep drawing upon the early months of my sobriety, because I haven't, like, without, going into it, it was fucking hell. It really was. And, but there was, I had such a surface level at that stage. I'd created such a surface level of what it was to have kindness with myself, meaning that it was more, well, kindness with myself was avoiding looking at anything that, anything that would kind of didn't match what was kind or what I judged as kindness. And one of the things I realized I had to get underneath was that. And like, kindness, having kindness for myself, a lot of it came with, it definitely wasn't nice to get there. Like, there was such a difference between what I'd had in the past and how I'd functioned to what I desired to get to for myself. So I bring that up because a lot of us have this thing with kindness with ourselves as being nice to yourself. Well, what if sometimes it's actually looking at the hard shit that you don't want to look at also? What if in looking at it, though, you didn't have to look at it from this place of judgment? You could just be like, wow, I just chose that. I just chose to create that with this person. I was just not me in this situation. I was just abusive, or I was just whatever. What if kindness for you was acknowledging that you don't have to choose that again?
Right. Yeah. And not have to dig into and find the reasons and justifications to why you chose it, because that's just another excuse to judge yourself a little bit more. Like, what if part of it is also this, like, okay, wow, I was being a total asshole right there. Interesting. And now what? Like, what would I like to choose now?
Yeah.
No.
What would I like to choose now? And how much more could you like yourself today? What if you just liked you? What if you didn't have to be perfect or have anything right in order to like yourself anymore? What if you could realize when you're making the choices that are taking you down the path of not liking yourself, and recognize where that path goes? You know where that road leads. You've been choosing it forever. What if you chose a different path? What if you made different choices? And the other thing I'm looking at right now, because it's been kind of up as an energy lately as well, is this thing with boredom.
Yes.
And I'm realizing in talking about that thing of how much we'll choose to go down that path that we know leads towards not liking ourselves. Like, when you make that first judgment, or when you just you take that first step, and then you just you've already taken the first step, you might as well take another one. And then you've already taken 2, you might as well take 3, and then 4, and then 5, down the rabbit hole. And it's just like, by the time you're 3 steps into it, you're just like, mate, ain't no going back.
It's half-assed. I mean, it's like all or nothing, right?
So you're like, if I'm fucking going down this rabbit hole, I'm going to find out what's at the bottom of this thing. Because that's what we do. I'm thorough in my, but
Yes.
it's like, but I realized for myself, especially lately, I've been in looking at this, because again, we're all energetic. So you perceive the heaviness coming before you even make that choice. You're like, oh, here I go. I'm disappearing again. I'm going to give myself up here. It's going to be amazing. But how much have you chosen that from this place of boredom? How much have you chosen the places where you don't like yourself, chosen the things in your life that are the dramas and the upsets and all of those things for entertainment in order to not be bored? Here's one of the things that I realized about myself is I had so misidentified being as boredom.
Wow.
If I was just being and there was no feeling to it, no emotion to it, no intensity to it, no, none of that.
Yeah. Then what's the fucking point?
Boring.
Yeah.
So we're definitely not going to dive into that on these calls.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Thank you for being here with me.
Yeah, thank you. This is, well, we've had a few conversations around this already, and it's just keep opening up more and more and more. And I'm very excited to keep exploring. It's a big topic. And I can so perceive, like, wow, there is so much available beyond the judgment and the unkindness that we tend to be to ourselves.
Yeah. I know, right? It's like, imagine, like, I want to put this out there because it's such an interesting, like, just to even ponder this for anyone listening, is ponder you wake up tomorrow and nothing has to trigger you anymore. Like, you look in the mirror, and it's not about the way that you look, it's the way that you are with you that just lights you up, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I like who I am.
Yeah.
And from that space, from that space, you're going to choose what matches that energy, because you're being that space. You're a space of being that allows your choices to start opening up more of that. So you go through the day and you're actively choosing your life from this space of liking you. So now, because you're choosing it, every day you get to more of it. But then it's interesting. So I said, like, we'll have something like that. You ponder that and you just be like, oh my fucking God. And then we'll have it for a moment. But then how much has that been this thing of, okay, now how do I hold on to it? How do I not lose it? Rather than it actually be something that you can acknowledge as you and choose to live your life from now.
Yeah.
Like,
And something that continuously evolve as well. Because
yeah,
what that was for you yesterday is not what it's going to be today or
true
tomorrow.
story.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, please.
Yes. Let's have that. I'll have that.
Let's have that. I'll have that too. More of it, more of it, more of it. So you're all invited to our soiree, or, you know, our shindig, or whatever it is. There you go. BrendonWatt.com, liking you. Come play. How does it get any better than that? Thank you for being here with me, Amanda. Thank you all for listening. How does it get any better than this?
How does it? See you soon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.